You know what? I have been looking forward to this conversation, partly because I do a little bootleg study of human behavior myself. I really try to observe people and understand why we do the things that we do. But today I am actually fortunate enough to have someone who actually is an expert in this field, someone who is educated in this field, and someone, quite frankly, someone who actually makes a living in this field. So I am excited to be talking with Dr. Lawana Gladney. Let me give you a little bit of her bio, then we're going to get into the conversation. Dr. Gladney is a successful psychologist and life strategist. She has a PhD in instructional psychology and technology. Her degree not only focuses on human behavior, but how the brain processes information that will lead to a change in behavior. Since the early 1990s, she has studied and researched what stimulates the mind to motivate people to change their behavior and how changing your mind will lead to success. Having that expertise and background coupled with years of research, Dr. Gladney has developed several programs and systems while providing strategies to help people achieve success in their life. She's an international speaker, trainer, coach, and podcaster. Her audiences expand the globe and include companies, organizations, churches, and schools, sharing the message of emotional health, success, love, and using the power of your mind to change your behavior. She's the author of 6 books and co-author of 4, and I'm glad to have her with us here today. Dr. Lawana Gladney, welcome to the show.
Oh, so honored to be here.
Absolutely, and thank you for just hanging out outside with us. You said, where are we going? I said, we're going to do it on the boat. You said, okay.
This is so super cool. I've never done an interview on the boat, so I'm excited.
Well, I figured, if we've got to work, let's try to have fun while we work.
Absolutely, and this is so calming and peaceful. We're talking about the right subject to be in a peaceful, calm place.
Good deal.
So
Well,
I'm excited.
Let's get into it. So as we talk about this, I read your bio. I talked about your accomplishments, but first of all, tell folks who you are.
Okay, so yes, I am. People call me Dr. G because that's real funky and it's cool.
I like it.
And I am the emotional wellness doctor. I help people stay sane in a crazy world. And our world has been really crazy.
Yep.
So I do that through speaking, training. I work with individual clients. Like I said, I've written all the books. I do the radio, the TV, the residential experts, all of the above.
Yes.
Any kind of way that I can get my message out.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And if people will listen to me, I'll talk to them.
All right. And you know what? I'm excited to be talking with you. Again, I want to start off, like you talked about, our world has been crazy.
It's crazy.
So I want to start talking about this thing, COVID-19. And I guess the question I have is, someone who studies human behavior, what is your assessment of how our human behavior has changed as a result of the pandemic in which we're currently in?
That's a loaded question. That's a whole lot. Our behavior has changed so much. You've watched the behavior change of people. In my lifetime, we haven't gone through anything like this. So people didn't know some of the stuff that they had inside of them.
Yeah.
I knew what was coming. And I kept saying, here's my predictions. I couldn't get on and say it because I didn't want people to hold me to it.
Yeah.
But I knew things were going to happen. I knew we would see the worst of people and the best of people. So when the book says The Tale of Two Cities, it was the best of times and worst of times.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. And so much drew on people's emotions that I think some people were surprised at some of the things that they learned about themselves and saw and didn't realize that they had that in them and would do. And so we've seen that. We saw in the beginning, and we'll talk a lot about this, the whole fear factor. The humans are made up of emotions. We have feelings. We have all of this stuff that works that we don't know how it works in our bodies. But in our brain, in the limbic portion of our brain, is where our emotions are housed. And that's what was happening.
Yeah.
That's where the behavior that we saw was all driven by people's thoughts and their emotions.
Okay.
And so we saw so much of people, and we're still seeing it.
Yep.
When it's almost like when you open Pandora's box, you can't pull it back. And that's what happened. Human behavior, Pandora's box was opened. So you got to see some of the worst of the worst. And now we're seeing it, people, as we're opening back up, it seems like people forgot how to act. They forgot their manners. They forgot. Everybody's fighting, all the tension.
We're seeing it on planes and everywhere else.
We're seeing it everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
like, the entitlement of people to think that they could just do whatever they want to do in this big, fast world. You would think that this would have taught people something to straighten up their behavior.
Yeah, but instead it seems like it's going in the opposite direction.
Again, people think it's not going to happen to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So based on this, you said you had some predictions and you saw some of this coming. What has surprised you most out of all of what you've been able to observe? What's surprising?
I think what surprised me most was the way it was handled from our leadership, because that matters so much to people. When your leaders can be confident and make you feel calm, because I said everything is about emotions. If they make you feel calm, even though you have that fear, you have this side of you saying, oh, it's all going to be all right, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. And so I was surprised, because then the reaction of humans and what they'll do when you feel like you're left to yourself to figure out how to survive.
Okay.
Then you get to the survival of the fittest. You get to, I don't care if you live, I'm going to live.
Yeah.
I'm going to live before you do.
Because you don't
can
have the
die.
confidence in your
You
leadership,
don't have
so
the
you have to
confidence,
resort to
and
your
you
own.
don't know what's going on, and you don't know what's happening. So I think, all of this just transpired into something that was very negative. And so I hated to see us go through a disease and a pandemic and people dying and it be about politics. That took me over. And I was like, oh my God, we can't get away from the labels. That's just a label, and it's a belief system that can be changed.
Yeah. Well, because what you would have expected is everyone's rallying together. I guess, to use an example, we just recently acknowledged the anniversary of 9/11.
Yes.
At the time of 9/11, we all rallied together. We're all Americans. We're all going to get through this
Everybody
together.
rallied together.
Totally opposite when when the pandemic hit.
Totally opposite.
Yeah.
And the weird thing, Chris, about 9/11 is it happened in one central location. It happened in downtown New York City.
Yeah.
We here in Dallas, Texas, felt it just like that, but it didn't directly impact us, but it impacted us because we are Americans.
Right.
This impacts everybody. So you would think it would
Around the
really,
world.
I know you would. It was a global thing.
Yeah.
You would think it would bring us all together, but it did not. It just did the slice of separation of families. Now it's gotten more than just political. It's just that everybody think their opinion matters. And your opinion doesn't. Everybody's opinion doesn't matter. You can have it, but when it comes to science and truth and facts, your opinion don't matter.
Not to the point to where it affects someone else.
Yes.
Like you said, when you're going beyond your opinion and now inflicting your beliefs and everything else on someone else, because now you're breathing in the air or exposing your breath out into the air is affecting somewhere else.
Absolutely. Well, and so first it's an opinion, then comes to a belief.
Yeah.
Both of those can be changed. People get their opinions from hearing stuff, seeing stuff. It don't have to be true.
Yeah.
Everything we can start we can start something right now by saying, "Oh, we saw a Loch Ness monster when we were out on Joe Pool Lake."
Yeah.
And we could take a picture and almost swear by it, and there would be tons of people.
And if you
out
hear
there.
it long enough, I hear what you're saying. So if you hear it long enough and you begin to believe
you
it.
begin to believe it. And
Yeah.
a lot of people would be out here right now trying to find it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's how simple that our brains, if you allow yourself, the simplicity of following after something.
Wow.
And that's what has happened. And so people don't even know what their beliefs are. Everybody just saying something they heard somebody else say. And some of it is so crazy.
Okay, so now you're leading me to another path.
Okay.
Because we talked about what happened in the beginning. Now we begin to open back up.
Yes.
Now you're seeing a good majority of the population packing in football stadiums, things of that nature. No one has a mask on.
No.
We're almost back to quote unquote normal, if you will. As you look at this, what do you think that belief system is that allows us to, after all of what we just came through, hundreds of thousands of people dying, a worldwide shutdown, and now we so quickly go back to packing in football stadiums and everything as if nothing had ever happened? What allows us to behave in that way?
So first off, a part of that is a good thing. Because God made us resilient creatures. So if we just get stuck in one space, none of us would ever move forward.
Okay, I like that.
Because a lot of tragedy, a lot of things happen in your life. So it's kind of like we all are still in a childlike state that you can kind of move from this space to another space and almost forget that happened, because now you're back to what you're used to, what you feel comfortable, and everybody longed for this to happen. And so right now people are just so glad to be out, and it's almost like, we forgot. But if you think last year at this time, it seems so foreign that we would be able to be out in a space where a lot of people, and you miss that because that's all what we know. So I think now people are getting, and that's what I told somebody the other day, they will never be able to shut us down again.
That is true.
Because the way that we are right now, it doesn't matter. To be able to take this back away from people, in the beginning they did, and that's because we didn't really know what was going on. Right. Now everybody is so polarized on everything. It would just probably start a civil war inside if it's like, because it's again politicized and it should not be, but it is. And so people on this side, well, I'm going to get the vaccine, well, I'm not, well, you get it, you don't. It's all of this. Oh my God, there's so much uncertainty that I just sit back and I say, wow. You ask the other thing that surprised me the most is that people really get into this space of something that they don't know anything about, but they firmly believe in it.
Yeah, but they've heard it repeated long enough from somebody who they respect and admire,
but no,
so it becomes a belief system for them.
Some of it is they just saw it on the internet. They don't even know who it was, and they said it. And my cousin's cousin told me, and I just heard of some star that I'm not going to mention, some celebrity, and you put it out there because you believe that that's real. Yeah, that's her reality. Yeah,
not understanding the platform in which you're saying that on.
Yeah, sometimes people don't even understand the power that they have. Yeah, and I was sitting there going, she got 22 million followers. How many followers I have on Instagram? Yeah, 2,000.
But there's a responsibility that comes with that
power. What
I'm
saying is, I can give you something. People follow after entertainment. Yeah. What I have to say is valid. It's going to be grounded in truth, and it's not my opinion. Right. Do I have my own opinions? Absolutely, I do. But I try to present what is real and what's truth. And I thought, people don't even understand the power they have. Give me them followers. Let me have those followers. I can do something with them.
Or at least if you're curious and you want to do research, use that platform to speak with an expert and then help to put the best information out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So be responsible with the platform. Yeah. You talked about the vaccine. Well, I guess first of all, let's go back to what you said a moment ago. You talked about the fact never being able to be shut down again. And I guess part of what led me into that question about getting back to what quote unquote normal was because of the fact that, is it because we feel like we're somewhat being forced? Because, of course, we saw the crash in our economy when we shut everything down. Or is it that human nature to want to be in an environment with other people and not want to be alone and things of that nature?
I'm going to tell you, the human nature is that you can't tell me what to do. Okay. That's the human You know what? You see it when we have these little kids. Our children that are 2 think they could tell us what to do, and we 5 times their size. Yeah. No, I don't want to. That's human nature. Yeah. You're just older, and now you feel like I'm grown, and you can't tell me what to do. That's what wouldn't shut us down again. People are like, no, you told me the first time, you see it didn't work, we still got it, you can't tell me what to do. That is the pushback of the rebellious human spirit that we have inside of us. That's what would make us not shut down again.
But at first, the fear of not knowing what was out there and what was going on allowed you to comply. Yes. But now that you feel like you know what's going on, you formed your own opinion.
It's like, no. You can't tell me nothing. So, no, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to put on a mask. I'm not going to do nothing I don't want to do. That's really what it is. Okay.
So, now you talked about it a moment ago, and I want to get into this other area, this whole vaccine. and let's kind of
want to talk about that.
Yeah, let's set the framework. So I believe that we can both at least agree that there is a difference between vaccine hesitant and anti-vaxxers. Okay. I'm of the belief that vaccine hesitant means, hey, I just need a little bit more information. I'm not saying I won't ever get it. I'm just saying I'm not going to get it right now because I don't feel like I have enough information to really be able to decide on whether or not that's the best thing for me and my family. Anti-vaxxers, I believe, are the people who say, never going to get it. I don't trust it. Never, ever, ever going to do it. Not even considering doing it. Yeah. That is a song, isn't it? Yeah. But I believe the problem that we or the government has made and others have made is that you're lumping everybody into the same mix. Now it's being said that anyone who's unvaccinated is an anti-vaxxer. And I don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay. So let me address first that there is a difference between the two. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the result is the same. So I look at results. Okay. I told you everybody has an opinion when it comes to facts and numbers. They don't lie. Okay. That's what I told people all through the pandemic. Look at the facts and the numbers.
So the fact is they're unvaccinated. I got you.
The fact is, whatever the reason is, you're not vaccinated, so you're not protected. That's just simple.
Right.
So I try to keep things simple so people can really understand.
Okay.
Because when the part of what I learned about our brain and how we process information, the simple things is what our brain can process. So I try to give people it simple. Everybody's making this whole vaccine thing such an issue. All of a sudden we want to know some more about something. We don't study about what's in our food. We don't study about what's in the other drugs that we take. We don't have a clue what's in blood pressure medicine, what's in your diabetes medicine. We don't have a clue what's in some of this stuff that we just stuff in our bodies and don't care.
Right.
We don't know when it was created. We don't know FDA approved or not. Most people don't even know what FDA stands for. But all of a sudden, everybody's an expert, and everybody want to know what they haven't studied it long enough because they heard somebody say something.
So let me try to see if I understand where you're going with this. Are you saying that you have little to no compassion for those who are not anti-vaxxers, but vaccine hesitant?
No. So with me, again, it's real simple. I try to keep emotion. So when you talk about stuff, everything that we're talking about with the pandemic, with most things, is built on emotions.
Okay.
So the limbic portion of your brain is where your emotions are.
Okay.
Your neocortex is where your logic and reasoning is.
Okay.
They don't work simultaneously. So people, you're either emotional or you're logical.
Okay.
I always click on my logical sense of brain.
So stop right there for a second, because you're really taking us where I want you to go. Are you saying then that the person who is vaccine hesitant, they're operating from which side of the brain?
They're operating from an emotional side.
Okay.
So it's their emotion and their feeling. I don't feel like that's right. I need to do research. Now, if you are a researcher and you've always been researching everything you do, then that's fine. I get it, because that's who you are.
Okay. That's the logical side.
99% of the people out there that's saying, I don't know enough about it, what are they doing to find out about it? The vaccine has been out since March. We're in September. What else do you need? How long do you need to find out your information? That's all emotional.
Okay.
It's nothing logical because the information is right there. You know, you could study what you need to study in 24 hours if it's something that you want to see. And, you know, you see 170 million people who have gotten it, and none of us have extra arms, heads, legs, or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what else do you need to see? But that's an excuse, and it keeps people from doing whatever they're hesitant about because they feel an emotion. That's all emotions.
Okay.
I look at logic and I say, what do the numbers say? Has anybody that we know of, do your body react some kind of way? I'm sure if there's something out that you can find on anybody. So somebody, my uncle took it and this is what happened, or my grandmother, there's somebody out there that you can find. But for the most millions of people in the United States of America, we're fine. And so my thing is, I've seen so many people die. Just had 2 friends die within the last 2 weeks. They were unvaccinated. For whatever reason, they passed away. I heard this morning the stat is 90% of the people that are in the hospital with COVID right now are all unvaccinated.
Yeah.
What else logic, if you just switch over to logic and say, it's not about how I feel or how I think, here's the number. People are dying when they don't have it. And people are not, now that we have the vaccine, likely to die if they have it.
Okay.
That's not an emotion. That's just a fact.
That's a fact. So I like that. But if it is in fact an emotion, then how do we help to coach these individuals who are hesitant? And again, for whatever the reason they have this feeling. I think the approach that we've seen as of late is, pretty much just demanding that everyone gets vaccinated and again, trying to dismiss whatever emotion it is they have for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear, how do we coach those individuals?
And so that's a very good question, Chris. So what I do is, because I'm really calm about whatever. I don't get into arguments with people because I understand that people's feelings are real to them.
Yeah.
And that's their perspective.
Right.
So I simply always ask, what are you hesitant about? And I say, do you have a greater fear of what the vaccine can do for you, or do you have a greater fear of dying? Do you want to die? Are you not afraid? Yeah. And then you make people think about what it is, why they're saying that, because we've just seen people die. You know, somebody in your family. We all know this is real.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you could go on the internet and look at how many GoFundMes have been set up.
Right.
People not prepared to die. But if you have a safety net, what are you afraid of with that safety net? It takes 1 second in your arm, and then bam, it's gone.
Yeah.
We have taken up so much time and energy talking about why people are not vaccinated. The vaccinated people, I got it even before it was my turn. Because they called me up and I said, absolutely, I want to see my mother.
Right.
I would give my finger so I could go see my mother. I don't care what. I'm like, to me, this is not an emotional. I'm going to see my mother. You know, I'm looking at it from a logical standpoint, but I'm going, I want to keep her safe and I want me to be safe. So anything that's going to let me go to Wichita, Kansas to see, we don't even need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, but and I understand that, and I think there are those of us who can come to that realization pretty quick. But I guess I'm really trying to understand, how do we get this other half of the population? Now, again, we're never going to get to 100%. I firmly understand that.
Yeah.
They're again, those are the anti-vaxxers. I understand that. I'm only concerned with the hesitant folks.
Yes.
And what can we do? Again, try to present best information and try and coach them to a place to where they can at least seek out the information that they seem to be lacking to get them to that decision. Or how do we get them there, as opposed to what I've seen as of late, really kind of putting everybody in the same boat. And I guess I don't like the connotation of that, because like you said, I try to respect the fact that people's perception is in fact their reality,
right.
Whether it's mine or not, it is theirs. So I always try to do a good job of trying to understand where they are, and then how can I get them to understand or get the information that they seem to be lacking.
Well, again, so I asked the question, I put it back to them to tell me what you're afraid of. Tell me why. And then it's like, okay, we can debunk that theory. That has not happened. Let's look this up. That has not happened. This has not happened. And so, again, because everybody is based on fear, I try to change that fear factor. Yeah. You're afraid of this because of whatever you think in your head, whatever you've heard, whatever it is, there's a fear factor. But fear should be working here as well to say, I want to live. Yeah. So whatever it takes, and since it's not disrupting my body, but again, so underneath all that, Chris, a lot of times it's people saying, well, you can't make me. Yeah. I don't want to do it yet.
So it's being rebellious.
So
fear is driving the bus in the wrong direction along with rebellion.
And so it's making people say, well, I just don't want to. I think what they put in there, and they say this with all this attitude. And I used to tell my friends that were not, I said, well, thank those of us that did, so that the world can open back up. Yeah. Because if all of us felt that way, we all still would be shut down.
That is true.
We're trying to get our economy back going. So you see the football stadiums open, you see all of the stuff. Thank the people who said, I want to get back to normal life. Because we're not going to be able to do. And then I tell people, I said, you know what? You have every right to decide what you're going to do with your body. But there are consequences that come with every decision. Right. So don't get upset when you can't go into something without a vaccine card. Don't do that. Yeah. Just know, if you're going to be for this thing, stand for it. Okay. And then I also have said, now what would be the thing if they said, well, if you do get COVID, we're not going to take care of you if you came to the hospital because you had a way not to be here. Everybody would think that's terrible. But my point
is... Well, we're almost to that point.
Oh,
you are hearing that in some cases, but I won't get into that. My
point is, why are you taking the risk? If you were just taking the risk and decided you weren't going to take your blood pressure medicine, that's you. Yeah. That doesn't affect me.
Only affects you, yeah.
But if you decide that this is not what I'm going to do, but now all of us have to pay a price. Yeah. And now it's like, oh yeah, well the hospitals now I can't go and get my cast on my leg, because there's no spaces in the hospitals, and they said the 9 hospitals are at a top where they hadn't been before, the pandemic. It's just crazy.
Numbers are off the chart.
Numbers are crazy, yeah.
Okay, enough talk about COVID.
Okay.
Well, at least in that sense anyway, because we're still really I now want to delve into relationships.
Okay.
You've written a number of books about relationships.
Yes.
So I want to get into how you feel the pandemic has affected our relationships. And I'll say I think we've seen it go both ways, but I want to get your perspective first. How do you think, has it affected relationships in a positive way or negative?
Okay, so it has affected relationships for sure.
Absolutely.
Can we say positive or negative? What again, I started out by saying what has happened is all of this stuff has come up that we didn't even know existed inside of us. This has pushed some buttons. So all of a sudden, people in relationships, and let's say marriages, you're living together, everybody's doing their life and going here and there and everywhere, and you don't see each other, but you got a routine and it works for you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's shut down, and now you got to see each other every day, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. When you're only seeing each other 4 hours a day, and
Yeah,
that
and
was
you're
cool.
going, oh, they're getting on my nerves. I don't really like them.
Yeah.
So you see something. Now this fear is bringing up something in you, and the other partner reacts or responds differently, because none of us respond the same. Men and women respond to things differently.
Absolutely.
So now you're seeing this stuff, and for some people, didn't like the person. Now they discovered, I don't like you, and I don't think I want to be here with you.
Wow.
And the divorces went through the roof
Yeah.
during that time. Domestic violence went through the roof during that time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative. But on the positive, people also saw the pandemic show people, the single people that were lonely, they were really lonely. They couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be here by myself. I need somebody. Oh, this is important.
Right.
So let me get it together, however, what that means, so I can get in a relationship and not be by myself.
Yeah.
So it worked on the positive and the negative, but it showed, so the marriages that withstood, they appreciate each other in a different way.
There you are.
So
Yeah.
that was a good thing about bringing out some good stuff. But it has affected relationships. It has affected dating, and it's affected people. It affects the way people interact. And everything doesn't have to be good. It's just change.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be good or bad, but it has changed the way that we should look at each other. So now, back on the vaccinations, now they have on the dating sites, if the person's been vaccinated or not, because that matters.
Well, yeah, I can see the importance of that.
And it also tells you what where they stand in their life.
Yeah.
So if a person's like, no, I'm not getting a vaccine, you don't want to be going out with somebody if you are a person and have to argue with them about that. It kind of shows some different sides. So it's real interesting.
Wow. So there becomes another barrier,
It
but
becomes
we won't,
another variable. Like,
we
do I
won't
wanna
get into
date
that
them?
too.
I want to go out with you. You've been vaccinated. I need to see your card.
Again, may not be anti-vaxxer. They may just be hesitant. But
result being
I
the
digress.
same. Yes.
So I want to go in another direction. So when you say two things. One of the things in terms of relationships, I guess when you talk about people now spending all this time together and making that decision, they no longer like this person. As someone who studies human behavior, do you think in some cases people probably made that whole permanent decision based on a temporary situation? Maybe it's the stress, like you talked about, the stress factor of what it was we were going through, a worldwide pandemic. In some cases, people can't go to work, things of that nature. Again, as a man, you can't provide. As a woman, you don't have that security blanket that you need to know that you're going to make it and be okay. Do you really make the decision to give up on the relationship in a situation such as that? Have you fully been able to evaluate it?
Well, yeah. So what has happened, Chris, is that a lot of people's relationships are strained anyway.
Okay.
But you are able to distract yourself because you have work, you have this, you have the kids, you have all of this stuff going on. And so you just keep moving as you move because you're comfortable in that space and you're like, I don't want to do it. It's just a lot of work. When everything gets shut down, then you get time to look, you get time to reflect, you get time to be with the person, and you're like, this is what I thought. I had been paying attention because I've been so distracted, but now you don't have these distractions. So I wouldn't say that it's temporary for a lot of relationships that were out there. It wasn't because of a temporary, this is stress. Because, if your relationship is doing well and you go in, it's like, babe, we can handle this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But if you already had, communication issues, you couldn't talk to each other, didn't want to talk, just come home tired, go to bed. Now you're forced to have a conversation and you don't even know how to communicate. Yeah. You're like, I never liked the way you've done that. I've never liked the way decisions you made. Yeah. So I think what it did was it exemplified and magnified all of the stuff that was already there,
Okay.
one way or the other.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think it was people, because people didn't want to move in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they had to be pretty bad. They're like, look, we need to get a divorce. When they didn't know where the world was going to go.
Yeah, but they're separating from that
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
Wow. I guess so. So on the flip side to that, I guess one of the things that I saw is that, and I guess I saw several examples of this, but one in particular, I have a friend who, older guy, middle-aged woman, they met 1 year later, in the middle of a pandemic, they meet. 1 year later, they're married.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and I guess for them, what they said was, during the pandemic, it forced them to date differently.
Yeah.
Where they probably normally would have, again, involved all the distractions, going out to dinner, going to the movies, all those other things, probably, engaging in sex prematurely, what have you. But in this case, because you had to remove all of those factors, now all you can do is sit on the phone and talk like we used to do in the days of old. And once you get past your favorite color, what's your favorite food, and all that kind of stuff, now you start getting into deeper conversations.
Okay, see, he talking like men have been married forever. We don't ask people what their favorite color is, Chris. Let me just school you.
Wait,
on
what?
Dating. Look, let me school him what dating is.
Y'all don't ask people that anymore.
Whatever. Okay.
So you don't even know what the man's favorite color is.
Okay, we're just gonna go with him.
So you don't even know. So you don't even know what food to fix for.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, what I was saying was,
Okay.
what I was saying was, once you got past all those things,
yes.
you had to have some deeper conversations.
Yes, you had.
And so it allowed them to be able to learn so much more about each other in a year's time that I guess pre-COVID, it probably would have taken them a year and a half, 2 years. What do you mean? Why don't ask favorite color anymore, man?
So, Chris, does your wife know your favorite color?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
She knows my favorite color, my favorite food.
Married for 50 years, so
that's all right.
I'm just saying
but she learned that.
By this time.
But she learned that when we were on the phone together back in the day.
Okay. Anyway, that was before there's more things to talk about now. But so
we were younger too.
You're right. You're right that and people were realizing as well that why were we waiting so long? If you like somebody, life is short. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow.
Wow.
It's worth spending a few short moments if our life were to be gone, having fun, than out here playing around and not making decisions and commitments. So you're right. It's not taking people as long to decide, because what are we waiting for? And they didn't have all the distractions. Oh, I'm gonna go out, or I'm meeting somebody else. You didn't want to do all that.
Yeah.
You found out how much work dating really was.
So is that a normal thing then? I guess within a year's time, someone would actually get married.
Is that normal? I've heard of people getting married shorter than that, but right now,
and that marriage lasting for a good number of years.
Marriage lasted for a good number of years. Now, and at my stage and age in life, I'm 50 over. I'm over 50.
Yeah.
That you're not gonna be sitting there for a long time dating somebody. It's like, what you waiting on? We done all been married before most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
Not like we getting ready to have a big wedding.
Okay. And that was their case. They had both been married before.
Yeah.
So I guess, and maybe that's how you come to an easier decision in that process, because you've been married before. You know what you like, what you don't like.
You know what you like, and you know what you need, and you know what mistakes and all that. So it's not all of this extra stuff.
Okay. So that's why y'all skip the favorite color and favorite food and all that stuff.
Favorite food, okay. Most people are foodies, and we just like to eat.
I was saying you use that. Those are surface conversations, but you get to deeper. But so in closing, since I guess I dig myself out of that. You are an expert in relationships. You wrote a number of books on relationships. What's your advice? I mean, to people today who are dating, whether old or younger, because my daughters are in their 30s, and it looks like right now I don't have even a prospect of a son-in-law at this point. And then, like you said, women 50 plus who are not dating for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What's the advice?
Well, so my last book was Power of Attraction: Getting the Man You Need, Not Want, and that's written for women to really understand it's about what you need in this time in your life. And I interviewed 60 men as a part of that to see what men are looking for in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so the advice is really, at this stage in life, everything should be at a calmer space, and it's not that deep. So I tell women, first of all, you have to know yourself, and you have to know what it is that you need at this present time in your life. I think it's simpler for men, because women don't say they have this whole list. Men will name 3-4 things, say that's it. Y'all real simple. Yeah. So I try to get women to be more simple in how they approach this. And so when you understand who you are, you understand your power, you can attract that person into your life, attract, that's a whole different dynamic, and that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But you are able to attract that type of person in your life, so you don't have to approach this with fear, again, emotions, anxiousness, I'm not ever going to get anybody. And a lot of younger, in the 30s, a lot of women are in that stage. They're feeling like, well, these guys out here, and so what it does is sets up a panic. It sets up this fear and this desperation feeling, and you can't operate like that. And then of course you attract all kind of other stuff into your life. So I tell people, just calm down, enjoy life, and have fun. And that was the number 3 thing that the men said, is that they want somebody to have fun. And a lot of women, particularly I see, they seem to be very uptight. And they're wound really tight. And it's like, they don't even smile and speak to me. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I can imagine how they're pushing men away. So I'm like, just calm down. It's okay. When you know who you need and you know the type, your energy will attract that person into your space. So yeah, those are the things I say. Just,
Just
know
calm
who
down.
you are. Know yourself, know who you are, and have fun.
Yeah.
I'm out here having fun. When I go out, I'm going out to have fun. I don't care if I see that look, we gonna dance all night. I'm not trying to get somebody.
Yeah.
When you're not trying to be, I gotta get the, just be calm. It'll happen.
Yeah. I like that. And would you say that that's the same for men?
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
with men, now look, men have this advantage right now, which just really irks me. They have this advantage with the numbers. It's a numbers thing. And when we say numbers, it's because so many, particularly in our community, it's so many unavailable African-American men. They're unavailable, whether they're in prison, they maybe didn't get the higher education level, whatever. Then there's a lot in the population, in the gay population. So we have a lot, the women outweigh. We outnumber the men.
No, not way.
No, we don't outweigh now. Shoot, but yeah. Anyway, we outnumber the men, and because men have the options and they can go next, and they don't have to do the work to get a woman. A lot of times they become lazy. Yes, I've said it, and I've said it on the podcast, so I'm not scared, y'all.
So they
But
become
men
lazy.
become lazy, and they don't do the work to get that woman because they don't have to. Because women now feel like they can chase the man.
But don't you feel he still has to do just as much work in order to find the right woman?
Well, that's when he gets ready. A lot of men are not, because there's so many options, and it's like a kid in a candy store. They don't have to settle down. Why? The men that that want to be married are married. The men that are not married, that's because they don't want to be married. And I see a lot of men out here, and I say, why haven't you gotten married? And they say, I just haven't found the right one. You in control of all of it. You just don't want to be married. Just say that. Say, no, I don't want to be married yet. Because I've seen the men, they don't want to be married, and then they do want to get married. They get married in 6 months, a year. They settle down, and it ain't because they so in love with it. They want to be married.
Yeah.
So you know that as men. Y'all know how that work. When you get something in your head, I'm gonna get me a wife, I'm gonna get settled. And a lot of people did that in the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be by myself, so they went and found them a wife. I'm just saying, women, we are sitting back waiting for somebody to ask. So men having a different kind of advantage.
Women don't have that.
So I have to coach them differently on some of the stuff they need to do. In the podcast, please listen to Single Life with Dr. G, Dating Over 40. We talk about all of this.
It sounds like it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I really have enjoyed the conversations. I really appreciate you hanging out with us and just sharing some knowledge with us to help us to understand this human behavior factor. Because I can tell you, I've been doing a little bootleg, so I'm glad to have an experienced person to be able to kind of bounce some of this off of.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. Everybody, thank you. Please go to my website, drgladney.com. That's GLADNEY, drgladney.com. Listen to Single Life with Dr. G, Dating Over 40 if you are, single and talking about dating. If you over 40, now we just hit the 40 and over because that's a whole different stage. But that's on anywhere podcast, Apple, Spotify, anything like that. But just go to my website, and I have a lot of information, a lot of books, a lot of stuff to help people.
You do.
To help people through. And if you need some coaching and anything, you need some sessions, just hit me up. I'm here to help you. Stay sane in this crazy world and in this crazy world of dating. All of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for watching.
Absolutely.
I hope you've enjoyed the show. And again, we're going to make sure we have all of Dr. Gladney's information on the website. So go to chrishowellonline.com, check it out. Also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can hear more great conversations just like this. They may not all be on a boat. We'll be somewhere. But again, we're going to bring you the best of information, and we'll bring you great conversations. So be sure to go to YouTube and subscribe to the Chris Howell YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go enjoy some waves or something.
All right. Sounds good.